All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Well, I got a burr under my saddle.
We talk, you listen.
Somebody that's going to take an innocent life is not mentally insane?
You know them.
Time to nut up or shut up.
You love to hate them.
It's the Denton and Sasquatch Show.
Can I bring my AR-15 next time?
Sure.
Yes.
This place is half talk show, half weird daycare. I love it.
You can't handle the truth.
Hello and welcome once again to the Denton and Sasquatch Show, coming to you from California and Alabama. Right there in California is me, Sasquatch, and over there in Alabama is him, Denton.
Yes, I'm Denton, and I'm in mourning.
You're in mourning?
Mourning, yes, I'm in mourning.
Did your pet gerbil die?
Not that much mourning.
Oh, okay.
No. George H.W. Bush died. I was given the day off with pay to mourn for the death of George H.W. Bush.
Were you really?
Yes. They paid me to be off today to mourn.
And I bet you're mourning up a storm.
Big time. I went to a place called Farm Systems. I didn't know this place is in my hometown, but it's a place called Farm Systems, and they sell farm stuff, and you know, it's kind of like a tractor supply company type thing, but I think better. And they also sell weapons, which is the reason why I think it's better.
Oh, that's a good good combination.
Oh, yeah. So I bought a Ruger Mark IV.
Nice.
It'll be cheaper. Yeah, it'll be cheaper. 22 caliber. It'll be cheaper to practice. Did you get the day off?
I did not get the day off.
Well, why not?
Because some of us have to pay for President Bush's funeral.
Oh, well, that'll be you, not me. So this is a day where, and I understand that people are probably going to be listening to this tomorrow, which will be the day after the procession or whatever you want to call it for George H.W. Bush's death. But this is a day that we're mourning the death of a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderbergers, and the Trilateralists. The guy had a hell of a resume, didn't he?
A globalist?
A globalist, yes. He was also chief of the CIA at one point, which was responsible for assassinations, mind control experiments on humans, and illegal drug trafficking in Asia and Central America. As a matter of fact, I read where allegedly he was responsible for, during the Vietnam War, making sure that the heroin pipeline was not molested by the Vietnam War.
Yeah, fully open and flowing.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, got to fund the CIA somehow. He also signed some... Go ahead.
No, I was just kind of going off on a tangent here, but have you been listening to any of the trial of El Chapo, the drug kingpin from Mexico?
No.
I've been listening to a little bit of it on the radio. The amount of cocaine that guy brought into this country is just astronomical. And my mind was blown, thinking, there's that many people that do coke here? It just blew my mind. But we'll talk about that on another show.
It's amazing that Americans still have sinuses.
Very much so.
Yeah. Also remember that President George H.W. Bush, this man that we are mourning the death of today, he is the mastermind. He's the one that brought us NAFTA and GATT. Yes, Bill Clinton signed NAFTA into law, but it was because George H.W. Bush, brought it forward and put it together and handed it over to him. A globalist. And by the way, did you know that, do you remember Randy Weaver, Ruby Ridge?
Yeah.
That fiasco happened under George H.W. Bush.
Imagine that. Didn't we get the Patriot Act under his son also?
No, under his son. Under his son, we got the Patriot Act. But you know, W is not dead yet. We'll harp on him later. But yeah.
Well, I mean, they were both. Weren't they both in Skull and Bones and all that stuff?
Both of them were Skull and Bones. So, yes.
There you go. Yeah. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
No, it doesn't. And I voted for George W. Bush. I started not to vote for him. No, I wasn't going to vote Democrat, but I was going to do Constitution Party thing. But at the time, my father-in-law says, "Well, boy, George W. Bush ain't his dad. He's going to be different." And because my father-in-law was my elder, I thought, well, I'll listen to him. He seems to be in touch with everything. Boy, was I wrong. George H.W. Bush was also the one who taunted Saddam Hussein into attacking Kuwait.
Yep.
Now, if you some folks don't know it, but I was watching CNN that day, and at the time, that's what we had was CNN. And I remember that a U.S. diplomat made contact with a Iraqi diplomat and said, we don't have any kind of defense agreement with Kuwait. Do what you want to do. And right after that, we have the war in Iraq. So really think about it. Can you imagine the surprise on Saddam Hussein's face when he realized the 101st was going to be right there in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
He was misled. But, again, George W. Bush is a globalist, but at the same time, you have to protect the petrodollar. Any country that goes against the petrodollar, wow, next thing you know, they're taken down. So we should be mourning the loss of George H.W. Bush today. All mourn Bush. Burn that Bush. I mean, yes. Light a fire. 1,000 points of light. Yes. So.
All right. Well, I'm in mourning then.
Okay. It's late evening for me, but hey, let's move on to another thing. You think you have hope for the country. You think that things are going to get better and we're going to go in the right direction. We got Trump. He's trying to do things for the wall and he supports Christianity and he supports this and that and everything. Guess what?
What's that?
A poll shows huge Democrat bias towards Muslims over Christianity.
What?
I know. That was my reaction as well. This was from Breitbart here. 68% of Democrats say employers should grant a request for prayer space by Muslims, but only 45% say employers should grant a similar request by Christian employees. This says a survey from Grinnell College. I don't know. I've never heard of Grinnell College, but we'll run with it.
Well, I got an idea.
What's that?
Let's round up all the Democrats and send them to a Muslim country so they can immerse themselves in their culture for, say, a year or two.
I'll bet 3/4 of them don't come back. Not in one piece.
See how much they like it then.
Yeah. Well, in contrast to the Democrats' 23-point anti-Christian bias, the November poll showed only a 10-point gap in response from conservatives. 30% of Republicans say employers should provide a prayer space for Muslim employees, and 40% say employers should support a similar service for Christians, according to Grinnell College poll roughly of 500 people. Well, that's not many people, but still, it gives you an idea. Democrats tend to favor minorities, even in a democracy, partly because progressives seek to rally a coalition of conflict-ridden minorities against a mainstream self-governing majority. In other words, the Democrats just want to tear society apart.
Well, here's a thought. How about companies just stay out of it altogether, and if you have a certain religion that you prefer, you figure out a way to do whatever you got to do, your prayers or whatever. Do it on your break time, do it on your lunch time, do it before work, whatever.
No, absolutely. I don't know of any Muslim corporations in this country. Maybe there are. I don't know. But what do they pray 5 times a day to the Saudi moon god?
I don't know. It's to the east, I think.
Yeah. Christians, we pray at our desk. I pray on the helicopter. Lord, don't let me stab this stupid piece of crap to death with a screwdriver. But, Christians don't cause any problems in this once Christian nation. The Muslims come here and they demand this, that, and the other. I'm sorry. You want to come here and you want to be part of our culture, our country, our society. Give us a shot at assimilation.
There's your mistake, though. They don't want to be part of our culture or society or any of that. They just want to come here and take what they can take and change things how they want to change it.
Well, that is the Muslim way of doing things. They infiltrate what they call Dar el-Arb, which is a house of war, and kill those who want to resist them and turn it into Dar el-Islam, which is a house of peace, which is bullcrap. It's a house of submission. Well, sorry, not going to submit to Muhammad, Allah, none of that crap. Not going to kick them in the face while they're praying in the rug. You know, I'm just not going to pay them any attention until they try to do something stupid towards me and my family, and then I'm going to pay them a lot of attention.
Not gonna do it. Not gonna
Wouldn't be
do it. Wouldn't be prudent. Not gonna do it. There, now we tied the two together.
We flat sure did. That's pretty fun. Okay, let's move on to the United Nations desk here. This is incredible. Yes, we have more desks than one house can fill.
This is just wonderful news all around.
Yes. Everybody put your razors down. Don't be slitting your wrists yet. The United Nations, well, maybe you want to. I don't know.
So, yeah, wait till we get to the California desk. Then we'll all commit mass suicide.
I don't believe in suicide. Homicide, yes. Suicide, no.
All right.
The United Nations plans to criminalize free speech opposing mass migration. Now, this is from the Independent Sentinel. You can find the Independent Sentinel on the internet at independentsentinel.com. That .com is important. Now, what the United Nations is wanting to do is, because, you know, the United Nations is all about destroying nations. Okay, if you have a viable nation, a viable culture, and a healthy society, well, by golly, we got to kill that. Okay, we can't have that, because if you're all stable, you can't be controlled. So they are 100% for mass immigration from shithole countries into stable countries.
Been doing it a long
Makes sense,
time.
doesn't it?
Yep.
Okay. The United Nations is to institute a RABAT, R-A-B-A-T, 6-part plan. In the plan, they tell the media they have to promote the migrants as a moral and social responsibility. But don't worry, they expect the media to self-regulate and hope they don't have to enforce. It's all about Objective 17. Well, what is that? In its Objective 17, the Global Compact commits states and other stakeholders to promote quality reporting by media outlets of migration-related issues and terminology, to investing in ethical reporting standards and advertising, and to stopping allocation of public funding or material support to media outlets. This is a very complicated media outlets that systematically promote intolerance, xenophobia, racism, and other forms of discrimination against migrants. These are crucial points we need to build on. In other words, if you say anything negative towards migration, well, you're committing a heinous crime. If you say anything that would say, well, we don't want migration here, we like our culture the way it is, thank you very much, you're just trying to kill our country, then you're hateful xenophobes.
Well, wait a second. Two things here. One, so you can say whatever you want about a nation, and that's cool, but you can't say anything about the migrants. That seems a little out of balance to me.
Well, why?
Well, because you can say anything you want about, say, America, and there's no penalty. But if you say anything about the migrants, there's a penalty.
Well, it's not quite true. If you say something about England allowing itself to be destroyed by the migrants, then you're being xenophobic.
No, I know, but if you say, oh, England is horrible because they don't take the migrants, well, that's fine. But if you say what you just said, then that's not okay. That doesn't make sense.
Right. Well, it does the United Nations.
And the second thing was, since when is the United Nations in charge of anything?
Oh, well, see, that's where you're wrong.
All right, school me.
Your thought is so passé, man. I mean, really. I mean, the United Nations was built by globalists, and we're tying this back to George H.W. Bush, aren't we?
Yes.
There was, right off the bat, I can't remember the first attempt after World War I. to make a globalist organization. It failed. After World War II, the United Nations was created, and it seems to be thriving. But the whole intention of this whole United Nations thing is to get all the despots, the tyrants, all the whack jobs together, and they will become rulers of the world. But in order to do that, you have to destroy sovereignty of all nations. And that's why I think one of the reasons why the French are starting to get pissed off and burn things like they are apt to do and make guillotines is because they're realizing that they have been led into globalism that is not what they thought it was going to be.
Well, the Germans are fighting back too.
It's too late for the Germans as well.
Well, probably. Okay, so all right, I think I follow this now. So the UN can't actually criminalize because they're not in charge of anything, but they can get other countries that are in the UN to criminalize. I think I got it. Okay.
So all of the Arabic countries, all the Muslim countries are going to be on board with this. And all the countries that have bowed down to Islam are going to be on board with this. So basically what you're going to have is the United States and, Poland? It's like 2 or 3 countries that are against this. But the rest of the world has gone crazy.
Well, just wait until Trump's out of office and some Democrat gets in there, and then, we'll be bowing too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, we're going to fall eventually. We know that. That's why we drink heavily.
Because we're doomed.
We are, but we'll save that for the end of the show. All right. This is the last thing I've got. And, yes, we're trying to keep this below 30 minutes. Good luck for us. NATO recognizes Ukraine's aspirations to join alliance. This is from, UNIAN.info. The NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says the organization recognizes Ukraine's aspirations to become a member of the alliance. He says, we also restated NATO's solidarity with Ukraine. We recognize Ukraine's aspirations to join the alliance. What do you can pick up on this? The NATO chief says progress has already been made on reforms in Ukraine, while challenges remain. Okay, the point of this is Ukraine is getting closer and closer to joining the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Also, Georgia is as well. Now, I've got nothing against Ukraine. I've got nothing against Georgia. I'm sure that they're fine little countries with fine little people. But do we want to go to war? I mean, do you remember a few years ago when Georgia and Russia tied up?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if Georgia had been a member of NATO, we would have had to have gone to war against Russia. Does this make sense?
Well, maybe Trump will drop out of NATO.
Well, I wish he would.
So
because, okay, I wish the people in Georgia and Ukraine well. I mean, think about it. Ukraine elected one government, and then Obama State Department meddled, and next thing you know, they overthrew that government, and they got a totally different government, and one that's more in line with the EU.
Wait a second. Are you saying that Obama's administration meddled in a foreign election?
That's hard to imagine, isn't it? I mean, not just there, but if you recall, in Israel, he was openly vying against Netanyahu. It's just that he couldn't use any kind of violence in Israel because those people will not mess around. Yes. Ukraine they voted for a government that was anti-Muslim, more nationalistic, and they couldn't settle for that. Not the West couldn't, and so that government was overthrown. Yes, and that's pathetic. Now, I hate it for them. I do. I hate that our State Department is that way. I hate the fact that bad things happen anywhere in the world. Okay, but I just don't see any reason for us to get dragged into everything that goes on. I don't see Russia as being that evil bad guy. I think, for example, back in the Cold War days, if they were that bad, why did Kissinger make sure that they had the machinery to make the perfect ball bearings so that they could create the multiple reentry vehicles for their ICBMs, just like we had. You had to keep up. They had to keep up, even if we had to make sure they could keep up, so that military industrial complexes could continue to make money.
Hey,
Okay.
Fun side note here. Did you know that Bernie Sanders, during the Cold War, when there were sanctions on Russia, honeymooned in Moscow?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yep, he's a commie.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to say is, I'm tired of them bringing in all these little countries into United or NATO that's going to get us into a shooting war over something that we really don't care about. As a matter of fact, I'm tired of NATO altogether because NATO members in Western Europe are going Muslim. What do we have in common with these countries? Even England, our mother country, as far as common law and that kind of stuff, they're going Muslim. Are we going to get drug into a war for Muslim countries that within 10 years are going to despise our way of life if they don't already do it now?
I was going to say 10 years. I think they're already there.
Yeah. So, I'm totally against this. And like you said, I'd just assume Trump gets out of NATO, the United Nations, and every other agreement, just like he did with the, what do you call that? NAFTA?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So come on, Trump. Do what you know we need you to do. All righty. I'm done with my soapbox. What you got?
All right. Well, brand new desk here. This one we lovingly call the Citizen of the Week desk.
All right.
So we have a Citizen of the Week this week. Let me pull it up here. There we go. Let's see. An escaped inmate from South Carolina picked the wrong house to break into. 30-year-old Bruce McLaughlin Jr. was shot and killed by the unidentified homeowner after he kicked in her back door and made his way to her bedroom. Pickens County Sheriff Rick Clark praised the woman, who had a concealed carry permit, for being able to protect herself against an armed intruder. This was a big guy. If she hadn't had a weapon, there's no telling what would have happened, Clark said. I gave her a big hug and told her how proud of her I am. McLaughlin Jr. was a McLaughlin Jr. and a second inmate, Timothy Dill, assaulted two prison guards before escaping from Pickens County Prison. They were on the run for just 20 minutes when McLaughlin Jr. broke into the woman's home. Dill was arrested a short time later, not far from the house. Police said that the shooting appears to be justified, and they do not expect any charges against the homeowner. Very few people, even cops, go through this situation like that, and she's kind of a hero to us today, Clark said. So, there you go. I'm sorry that she was unidentified, but she is our Citizen of the Week.
So Bruce McLaughlin thought it'd be pretty cool to kick down a door.
Yep.
Well, dumbass.
Just 20 minutes after escaping from prison.
This is kind of sad to me that they say we don't expect any charges to be filed against the woman.
Well, it is sad.
Why would you even say that?
I guess procedural. They have to, check it out, but it looks like she's in the clear.
The only procedure that ought to be followed with that is, hey, man, nice shot.
Yeah, she should be asking, who's going to clean my rugs?
Well, you know what? You're actually responsible for your own cleanup.
Man. Well, if it saves my life, I'm happy to clean up my own rugs.
No doubt. Just cut it out, drag it out, replace it.
Then we'll move over to the California desk. Let's see here. It's a toss-up between the two of these. Let me see how much time we got. We'll start with this one. Los Angeles County, or actually City of Los Angeles. The City of Los Angeles will consider on Tuesday a proposal to enact an outright ban on murder,
guns,
knives, running down children with semi-trucks. No, an outright ban on plastic straws.
Finally.
Those evil plastic straws. You know what? They got a picture here. It looks like a military-grade assault straw.
I'm glad, because I get so sick and tired of people thinking they're cute when they put a couple of straws up their nostrils.
That is fun, though.
Well, no more. We'll have no more of that kind of shenanigans.
Exactly. California state law to restrict plastic straws goes into effect January 1st and limits restaurants to giving out single-use straws only upon a customer's request. However, the L.A. proposal, now this is all of California that goes into it, but L.A.'s proposal is to outright ban the plastic straws. Other cities like Malibu and San Francisco have already passed outright bans against the use of plastic straws, and this is funny right here. According to the National Park Service, which actually got their study from a 9-year-old boy that did it as a project for school, and I'm not kidding, you can look this up. They took the numbers from a 9-year-old kid who did this as for a school project. But anyway, according to the National Park Service, Americans use an estimated 500 million drinking straws every day, or enough to fill up 125 school buses. Yet, even if all of those straws suddenly washed into the sea, they'd only account for 0.03% of the 8 million metric tons of different types of plastic that are estimated to enter the oceans in a given year. An estimated 46% of the debris is actually polluting the ocean from fishing equipment.
Well, as we covered before, we sell or give whatever. We sell it to China to recycle it or do something with it, and then China turns around and dumps it into the sea.
Well, and I'm trying to think of the number I heard the other day. 8 of the most polluting rivers in the world are in China and India. So all their crap is getting washed into the ocean. That's where most of the stuff's coming from. But we here in L.A. have to ban plastic straws because that's doing absolutely nothing.
Well, you know what? I am happy. I am prepared for this.
Are you? And you got your own... Did you whittle your own wooden straw?
Oh, absolutely not. Bearing that, I got international truck, a big truck, a 53-foot trailer. I'm buying straws in Alabama. I'm taking them to California, and I'm selling them on the black market.
There you go. You become a millionaire.
Well, this is how it always works. There's black market for all this kind of stuff. What do you think? Okay, you can't smoke marijuana in Alabama. It's illegal.
Uh-huh.
You're trying to tell me that we ain't got no stoners in Alabama?
Well,
that's bullcrap.
All right, that's our business model. You fill up the truck with straws and drive it to California, then we'll fill it up with weed here and drive it back to Alabama. And we'll just keep doing that back and forth. We'll be billionaires.
Absolutely. And on top of that, if we could connect up with some cocaine suppliers, cocaine straws, man, we'll be rolling in money.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
Now, somebody's going to turn us into DEA and EPA and everybody else now. But, hey, this is all a joke, okay?
Hyperbole, people.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. People are crazy out there. Can it get any crazier in California?
Well, it can. If you remember the recent elections, California is now pretty much owned by the Democrats. They have basically 3/4 of the legislature here, and within our Constitution, that means that even the governor can't veto these people now. I mean, they basically have a blank sheet to do whatever they want, and they have already started writing laws that they're just going to pass through. And one of them is they're one step closer to expanding Medicaid for illegal immigrants. That's right. Legislation from both chambers of the legislature that could reach Democratic Governor Jerry Brown's desk. The California Assembly last week passed a measure that would expand a current program introduced in 2015 by Brown, which provided Medi-Cal, that's our Medicaid, coverage for undocumented minors under the age of 19. The new legislation introduced by Democrat State Assembly member Dr. Joaquin Arambula expands that program to cover undocumented young adults up to age 26. But
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Here. I think this is a logical question.
All right.
Where's the money coming from?
Well, that is a very logical question. Partially, it's coming from me because I pay it in taxes. But just for all the rest of you out there that are sitting back and saying, "Ha ha, California, you're so stupid," no. The Medi-Cal program is in part governed and funded by federal Medicaid. So guess what? You're paying the bill too.
Oh, joy. Okay, let's get it. Okay, that's the Medicaid thing. Mm-hmm. Is there another example of a law that they're going to pass that you have right off the top of your head?
I was trying to think. There's another outrageous one, and I can't think of it right now. They're already working on banning pretty much every gun possible, so they are working on that. What else are they doing? I can't think of it. You know what? I'll make a list because they called it the wish list, and it's just insane. We'll do it on another show.
Sounds like Sunday.
Aaron Beulah's bill was initially slated to cover all undocumented adults, but was amended to expand coverage to just young adults under 26. Now, there was a conversation earlier over at prepperforms.net about lots of different things, but basically, I was talking about baby steps. It was about compromise. You can't compromise with Democrats because they want it their way or no way. It's baby steps, and that's what they're doing here. They wanted it for all undocumented adults, but now I'll tell you what, we'll only do it for people under 26 years, undocumented immigrants under 26 years of age. But after they get that, then they'll go, well, let's move it to 35, and then let's move it to 45, and then let's move. That's the way they work.
Well, that's all fine and good, but the assumption in California is, assuming that there are any economic assumptions that make any sense. As far as I know, they could all be like Alexandria, whatever her name is, Underlay girl, mm-hmm. Totally ignorant of economics.
Oh, well, they are. Oh, okay. Here's another one for you. A while back, they got something passed where you get free. What's it called? Junior college for everybody. Your first year of junior college paid for. And the Democrats said, oh, well, we want to do this because, it'll get them going and they'll get excited about school. And most people say, oh, I guess that's good. We want people to get excited about school and stuff like that. Well, they got that. Now that they got that and they got this big majority, now they're making it 2 years. See what I'm saying about baby steps? That's what they do. There is no compromise with them. And if you think they're not going to, they're doing this on the state level. You think they're not going to do it on a federal level if they get into the White House and own all the House and the Senate? Of course they are. That's what they do.
There is no compromise.
There is no compromise with them. Let me see if there's anything else exciting in here.
Now, what we do know is that anything that's given to somebody for free, it's not free. Somebody's paying for it, number one. Number two, the recipient of the free item has no respect for it.
Oh, of course not. They didn't have to work for it. They just expect it.
Right. So we found out over here on this side of the country where we have these lottery systems set up to support the education system and everything. People get to go to school for free. They drop out because it's not like they have any stake in it.
Yep, and the dropout rate is enormous. I don't have those numbers either. I'll try to get them for the next show, but it's enormous.
Well, here's the thing about California is the people over there, I'm not talking about you or necessarily the population, but those that y'all elect into your government, they have no idea about economics and don't worry about it, or they assume that if their little experiment fails, that the rest of us will bail them out.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Now, I've fought against this. I've argued against people when they say we just need to cordon off California. I think earthquake ought to just take out California. I've argued against that because I stayed in California for a year and a half. I love California. I'm now beginning to think that a wall needs to be built between us and California. We just need to cut them away.
Well, I've said it before. Just send a chopper for me before you start building.
Yeah, get you and Hot Nursey and your family, get over here, man. I'm telling you, it's getting kind of crazy, and you guys are going to drag us all down.
This story goes on. There's just tons of numbers and everything. I'm not going to read it all and bore everybody. But one thing I want to share here, Senator Ricardo Lara, he introduced some legislation before for the same thing, and he backs this, of course. Now, Ricardo Lara. Okay, how do I say this delicately? Cows fart, correct?
Yes, they do.
Well, some of that causes global warming because it's CO2 emissions. So we have a lot of cows here in California. So one of his other bills was you have to contain the cow farts His nickname is Cow Fart Laura. So he passed a bill, or got a bill passed, that said you have to contain it. And the farmers were all like, well, how are we supposed to do that? So they basically told him you had to put like a big bubble diaper on them and a hose up their butt that would catch the flatulence. Now, this hasn't been implemented yet, but it's supposed to be. But anyway, I wanted to say that just so I can show you this quote that he said. Okay, this is what he said. Now, listen to this. We are trying to address the fact that whether you like it or not, our undocumented community needs the care, and we are paying for it anyway. So let me read that again, just so everybody out there in America that's listening to this understands their train of thought. We are trying to address the fact that, now here's the important part, whether you like it or not, our undocumented community needs the care. So, you want to talk about compromise? With things like whether you like it or not, that is not compromise.
No. Now, here's my compromise. Yes, they need medical care, or they will need medical care. Because when I'm elected tyrant, that wall is going up.
And the catapult's going to start working.
And one of the groups that are going to be catapulted over the wall is going to be the undocumented community. Right behind them will be these Democrats that think that the undocumented community is part of America.
Well, you know what? Far be it from me to challenge the king, but I say we throw the Democrats first. Tyrant. But I say we throw the Democrats first, because if we throw the undocumented people first, then the Democrats have something soft to land on. So let's make sure the Democrats hit the ground first, then the undocumented workers.
I agree. That way the undocumented community might have a chance of living, going back home, and trying to fix their own country instead of dragging ours down.
Yes.
Except for, I understand that there have been throngs of engineers and doctors that have given everything up to come to this country in these caravans and going across the borders in Texas. I understand that all these really brilliant people are coming from their countries to ours to make ours a better place. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I've been reading too much CNN.
Yeah, you have. You've also been talking too much because we're over our 30 minutes, so we need to get going.
Where are we going?
Anywhere but here.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got my lemonade. It's unspiked because I'm not drinking or eating hot sauces. I've got gastritis. I can't have any fun anymore. But let's pretend I can drink booze. And let's just say that drink up. And for what reason?
Because we are doomed.
Andale.
I like that. We should do andale at the end of every show.